Armada Book 1 Chapter 7 The Recruit Part 1. Late in August 2058, Andrew awoke and realized all his team members have all gone on a recruiting mission, leaving him all alone. He thought for a moment, who in the world would he want to recruit? He could think only of two people. He realized either he does not have a lot of friends or he has been living an extremely lonely life. Olive beamed Andrew to a rental car parking lot. He was wearing his usual civs, which is really one of only 3 sets. And all are more than 5 years old. He got a car and went to visit his friend General Max Rogan, who heads the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Andrew met him at his office. "Hi Maximo, how is my old buddy doing?" Max stood up and came over to hug Andrew. "So how are you doing? I heard you went to Asia to fish your life forever." Max looked crisp but pretty much the same, he thought. Max thought he recognized the suit as one of 3 sets. Immediately he realizes Andrew has not married and he is probably working most of the time. Not exactly. 2 girls I met reminded me of my roots, Colonel Jenny Phillips and Captain Tiffany Hyru. Yes, I know those 2. They were assigned to some special mission nobody knows. It seems you know. No, not really. I want to know how your school is doing. What can I say? We are the best. Yes, but what do you feel your officer graduates are capable of? They are always the best at what they do. Well-rounded and technically capable. How about the training officers, how are they doing? What's all this questions, Andrew? It's not like you suddenly care. I guess you love your job. You know I do. Remember when we were pilots in Afghanistan and I told you I wanted to teach our young officers, teach them well and be the best at what they do? Yes, we were drunk at that time. Yes, we were, Andrew. Now I have my dream job right here. Yes, and I believe the cadets here are closest to your heart. I want to show you something. He stood up and locked the door and got a pen and touched Max's shoulder. Olive, can you get us to my ship please? Who are you talking to? Suddenly Max saw the office blur and quickly the bridge appeared. Welcome to the USS Andrew Man, General Rogan. It was Olive. Max, this is Olive, my ship's hologram. Hello Olive. What just happened, Andrew? Olive just beamed you to my ship in Earth orbit. Olive, get us to the USS P. Baker please. Now what? This is the US Spaceport Albert Baker. Come, let's go to the main TP room. Max kept quiet and followed Andrew to a large room. Stand here Max, Olive, beam us to Planet Los Angeles at Timmy's office please. Andrew, Max, is that you? Timmy exclaimed. Timmy, is that you? Max was really surprised. Timmy walked over and hugged Max. Andrew, where did you find this guy? He heads the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. 2 of his graduates led me to him. Well done Andrew. Let's go to Elaine. Max finds himself in another office. Max, is that you? Elaine asked. Elaine, how are you? Max greeted her and gave her a hug. I head this university in this planet. We train starship officers. Max now heads the Air Force Academy in Colorado. Really, we need to talk then. Starship officers? Wait, what's happening? Max asked. Max, sit down. Look, I guess this is too much for you to digest in one shot, but trust me as your friend. This is good. You don't have to think about it, I want you to just do it. I have 580 students that I am training to become starship officers. I guess you can teach me a lot about how things should be done or maybe work with me. You sir are perfect for the job. Andrew said while poking him. Look Max, why don't you and your wife Jessie spend the weekend with us so we can talk under more relaxed conditions? Timmy offered. Timmy here brews his own beer and it's really good. I guess that would be better. It's not like I have a GPS to drive over here. Elaine and I will be on Earth tomorrow in Seattle, call this number and an agent will pick you up. Fair enough. Is this real? Max asked. Max, buddy, look at me, this face is real. And this is your dream job. This is where you and Jessie will live together. What does Jessie do right now? Is she still a teacher? Andrew asked. She still teaches in a high school in Denver. Great, we need a teacher in this planet. Timmy said. Andrew, I think I am gone too long. You're right, Timmy. Elaine, I'll see you later. Tom, get us back. Who's Tom? Max suddenly realized they were back in the spaceport TP. Olive, get us back to his office please. Max found himself in his office and a loud knocking on the door greets him. He opened the door and the security team was there with guns drawn. What the hell is this? The MPs realized they had their weapons pointed at the general. Sir, sorry sir, we thought. Max slammed the door on them. Look buddy, I'm sorry I messed trying to recruit you, but give this baby a try and you will never regret it. Andrew, I love my job, but as your friend and for Timmy and Elaine, I'm willing to visit this weekend. Fair enough, I'll let Timmy work you up. Okay Andrew, now you tell me what you're doing. The president just promoted me to 2-star and head of the 2nd Intergalactic Armada. I need good people, I need starship officers. I need science officers. Gosh, I need a lot of things and I have to have them yesterday. Okay, so you're a 2-star and you have an Armada and I am happy for you. Andrew, I am happy here too. Okay, make sure you get to Timmy this weekend, okay? Olive, make sure he gets to Planet Los Angeles this weekend to meet with Timmy, okay? Olive appeared in Max's office. Yes, Andrew, I heard you. General Rogan, I will visit you when the time is appropriate for your weekend with Mr. Rivers. Okay, remind him on Friday. Olive, dress up like a normal Earth woman and accompany me. I don't want to mess up again. Yes, Andrew. Where do we go now? Max, where does Donald live? He's back at the old house in San Francisco. Here's the address. Max handed him a piece of paper and Andrew showed it to Olive. Do you want to go there now? Wait, Max, make sure you go to Timmy, okay? I want to go to my rental car now. As Olive and Andrew were walking out of the office, are you going to Timmy's also? Max asked. Yes, of course, I will see you there. Why are we in a car, Andrew? We cannot just beam around, people might see. Beam us with this car when nobody is looking and have us and this car get to a place nobody is looking or is present. I understand, Andrew. Andrew started to drive and Olive beamed them to a road near San Francisco Bridge under a small tunnel. Good, where's the address? Olive produced a hologram of the city with directions to the place. Okay, can you make the hologram appear lower so nobody can see it? Andrew, Donald's garage is empty, let's beam there now. Suddenly, the garage door opened and they saw a car trying to get into the garage. Andrew hit the horn and the car stopped. Andrew got out of the car and, stay in the car, Olive. Who the hell are you? The driver of the car said to Andrew. We're looking for Donald Peters. I'm Daniel Peters, his son. Dad's in the hospital, he suddenly caught the flu. What are you doing in the garage? Which hospital? I really want to see him, we're good friends from the service. He's at the University of San Francisco Hospital room 3255. Okay, can you move your car so we can go there? Why don't you let me take you there? I'm heading there in a minute. I just wanted to get some cookies in the garage for Dad. Good, thank you, but I'd like to drive my rental there if you don't mind. Okay, he moved the car and Andrew drove out and drove towards the hospital. Olive, no more hologram maps, just tell me where to drive. Drive left here. What the? This is a one-way street. Let me back up. Suddenly they heard a cop car sound. Shit, cops, Olive, beam us out to the hospital parking lot now. The police just saw us disappear. I don't have time for them. They walked towards the hospital lobby and asked for room 3255. They got their badges and headed for the elevators. The room, as usual in all hospitals, was not hard to find. Andrew knocked on the door and opened it. Hi buddy, I heard you have the flu. Andrew, is that you? Just me, Donnie. Hey, how are you feeling? I don't know, Andrew, it's like I suddenly got weak and getting all sick easily. Olive told him through his implant, whispering, as if somebody else can hear, he has cancer on the upper part of his liver. Advanced, he'll die in 2 weeks. He's been here 2 weeks already. This is Olive, Donald. How long have you been here? I think 2 weeks. Andrew excused himself to talk to Olive. Andrew whispered, can we cure him? Yes, but it will take him a month to recover. Donald, do you want to live? Of course I want to live, I'm not going to die, what are you talking about? What did the doctors say is wrong with you? Daniel said I had some muscle problems and it makes me weak. Olive, can you put him to sleep then beam us to sick bay and have the medics fix this guy? Olive beam a whiff in front of Donald's nose and he passed out. Donald became a little conscious and saw small people poke him in a lot of places. A beam of light moved from his head to his feet. Then he fell in a deep asleep. We've taken his tumor out and killed most of the cancer cells around his body. He'll be okay. In a month he'll be stronger. Do you want to beam back to the hospital room? Yes. Donald was still fast asleep. Andrew and Olive walked out of the hospital in time to see Daniel get out of his car. Did you see Dad? Daniel asked. Yes, we did. He was sleeping and we did not want to bother him. See you later. Where now, Andrew? Andrew saw a GPS on a very old car in the parking lot and said, Olive, can you get that thing on the dashboard please? Olive did and had the GPS out of the car. Andrew got the device and held it in front of Olive. Look, this is what we call a GPS, try to connect to their system. He realized the rental company offered him a car with one, but he thought he had Olive, and surely Olive is better than a GPS. The satellites are beaming their positions to this device and this device computes its relative position. They have direction flows and traffic data also coming from a service in downtown Los Angeles. Let's just drive around for a while. They went to the zoo and ended up at the Fisherman's Wharf. They went inside a coffee shop and found an unoccupied table with 2 chairs. You look sad, Andrew. You've been quiet since we left the hospital. Well, Olive, I just realized a lot of my friends are sick and old and dying. I want to save them all but can't. It's too late. It was not too late for Donald. It's like it's so unfair for people to suffer when we can just ease their suffering, cure them, give them longer lives and live happy ever after. Nothing is perfect, Andrew. We can beam the old people out in the night and beam them back in and they get cured. That was your plan. If we start this tonight, we will be able to cure 80,000 in 1 month. There are almost 100 million old people in your country. Olive stopped for a quick moment. You're right, Andrew, we cannot cure them all. Some of them have no more time and will die in a few weeks or months. Can you scan the whole planet and tell me who have terminal diseases and tell me their probable death date? Let's start with those with the least days to live. Then we'll beam them to the ship's sickbay in their sleep and beam them back less sick. Do this until we give them enough time. You'll have your answer tomorrow morning. The data involved is really large. I am going to get coffee, just sit here. When Andrew got back to the table, Olive was talking to a couple. Hi, guys. I am Andrew. Andrew, this is Christy and Ricky. They know several movie producers and are asking if I can have them take a movie of me. Ricky gave Andrew a card. You guys are recruiting for the adult entertainment industry, he asked after looking at the card then looking at Ricky. Yes, we are, and we're good at what we do. Our success rate is close to 60%. Ricky answered. Tell me, how do you recruit? Christy spoke this time. Well, first you have to determine and make an assumption what the actress or actor needs. Then we befriend them and offer the job as a regular thing and relate it to their need or needs and that it satisfied those needs. How do you recruit an old-timer, say those over 70 or 75 years old, for a regular job? That's easy. Normally old people have lost the excitement. So we offer them excitement like, say, a cruise, vacation, trip to Vegas, you know. Normally you use an old-timer to recruit an old-timer, but we can recruit anybody. That's what we do. Why are you asking us these questions anyway? Ricky asked. You might say I have a recruiting problem. I failed in my first recruit and got unlucky in my second attempt. I guess people are good at things and bad at other things. I am bad at recruiting. Is this recruiting your full-time job? Not really, we get a percentage of the first month fee. Ricky said. If I offer you a job to help me recruit old people I want to recruit, how much would you want as salary? I guess $7,000 each a month would be good enough. We can afford them, Andrew. Do you have an office? We operate out of our apartment. Why are you recruiting old people anyway? What can you give the old-timers? To give them work and longer life. No, you have to tell them you want to give them an exciting life. Tours, sports, food, sex, whatever, but not work and long life. They're retired. And who would want an old-timer work in the first place? Christy asked. Now I'm confused. That would be dishonest. Not really, old people are gullible. But once they are there, they adopt and are more accepting of their fate. Ricky said. Okay, here's a check for $14,000 for the two of you for your first month's pay. How many old-timers can you recruit for me in a month? We can probably get more than 100 old people to work for you. Christy said. Andrew, we have to make sure these two really work for you. How many do you need? Ricky asked. Several thousands. Can you do it? We can do it in several months, but there will be advertising and promotions expenses. Christy said. Okay, how much money do you need to operate a good recruiting business? Easily at say 2,000 recruits a month, I'd say an additional $40,000 more. We need a website and ads on cable. I will give you your money, but prove to me you can get the 100 within a month and we will talk about the thousands in the following month. 100 is easy. But we want to see what you really want the old-timers to do. I don't want to recruit then promise them something and have them killed or hurt. We want to make sure our recruits are happy and content, otherwise the product fails and we cannot work for you. Ricky said. Andrew heard something over his implant comm device. I don't have time now. I have your phone number and address, so expect that we will talk again. Keep the money and start recruiting. Olive, let's go. Andrew and Olive almost ran to the car and beamed out when no one was looking. They got themselves inside a parking lot, dark and with few cars. They got out and headed for the stairs. Ellie is just around that building. When they turned, Andrew saw Ellie listening to a woman. So what's the big deal, Ellie? His voice was a little annoyed. The woman stopped and turned around. Andrew, is that you? The woman exclaimed. Andrew was stunned for a while and unable to speak. Olive suddenly realized that Andrew felt a degree of panic and concern. It is you. The woman stood, approached Andrew and gave him a big hug and a kiss on the left cheek. Andrew smiled but just kept quiet and did not even return the hug. He did manage to raise his right arm halfway. Meanwhile, Olive stood beside Ellie and whispered, I am concerned. Andrew's BP suddenly shot up, heart rate is up and his serotonin is over the top. Yes, you're correct. Observe his eyes, see how they move and where they focus. Andrew is simply looking at her eyes. Who is she, Ellie? Dr. Victoria Pines. Hello Vicky, it's been a long time. It really was a long time. Always aware of his surroundings. Oh Vicky, this is Olive, my assistant. Hi Olive. The last time I saw you were at Ron's funeral. And you just stood there at the fringes. And then you left. I am sorry I wasn't able to do anything to save Ron. You saved his buddy, Ellie's dad. I know he was already dead when you regained consciousness and started to carry Tim to safety. So how are you, what are you doing here? I should be the one asking that question. I work here. Why are you here? I wanted him to sit in the forum discussion on the new systems that Dr. Friedman discovered. Ellie answered. Yes, great, I was on my way there right now. Andrew felt Ellie was setting things up. Olive whispered, Andrew, if you need anything just whisper and I will immediately work on it. Is there something wrong with you, Olive? I heard you were a general now. Vicky asked as they walked. Yes, and I heard you had a baby. Hardly a baby now, Tammy, she's 27 now and trying to finish her PhD at MIT. Electronics engineering. What was it that you are a doctorate of? I have 2 doctorate degrees, astrophysics and chemical engineering. After Ron, there was nothing to do except raise a child and study. I heard you discovered more than a dozen galaxies near the Hydra supercluster. Ellie said. Well, that's what you get if you point and click. Andrew whispered, Olive, hack into the database of this facility. I already got in 5 minutes ago, I'm almost done. They have a lot of space science information. Vicky led them through a large door. The room had a U-shaped table with 4 tables at the bottom of the U. They sat themselves there. The discussion was well underway and Dr. Friedman was presenting the locations of the new solar systems based on a cluster map. Did the calculated distance take into account interplanetary drift and the effect of the Big Bang? One of the young student-looking participants asked. Dr. Friedman answered, we have to gather data to see with certainty the direction of the drift, but I'd say towards this area here to be consistent with the Big Bang theory. The observatory was certain this would be the direction. Why would they assume the Big Bang affects the movement of the system? The student beside the first one asked. Olive whispered to Ellie, the first one is Dr. Gina Davis and the second is Dr. Gabriella Towns. Both are on the list. Except for Dr. Pines, none of the other people here are on the list. Ellie whispered to Andrew, those 2 girls are mine. Andrew looked at her and nodded, make it sweet and quick Ellie. Dr. Friedman looked at Vicky, what do you think Dr. Pines? I would have no conclusion at the moment. The positions in that particular region can be affected by a large time wave cascading towards the left downwards and the effect of the void's elongating shape being pushed downwards and extended to that area. Olive said as she pointed to the map after gesturing with her hands. Andrew whispered but rather loudly, Olive stop that. Olive stopped and whispered to Andrew, Andrew, I was just telling them the facts so they would make proper conclusions. Let her continue, Andrew, come on, we should always let people express their opinions. You don't understand. Those are not opinions. Dr. Friedman cut in, I am sure everyone here wants to know about time waves and void shapes. May I, Andrew? Andrew nodded but grumbled, make it quick. Time and space exist together but sometimes twisted, warped, elongated or whatever, space can be warped as well as time. Sometimes their shapes are odd and uneven. Through observation of interstellar space, one can determine their existence although one may not distinguish one from the other without proper instruments. The positions of those solar systems because of their size is affected also by the shape of the void which also changes shape. To actually determine the positions of visible bodies in space, the shift can be calculated but there are also invisible variables like time and warping of space that you factor into the calculation. Thousands of variables must be factored in. The Big Bang theory is of no consequence. Precisely what we thought. Time can warp and space can warp. Dr. Davis said. That is correct, Dr. Davis. Most of the variables that affect space warping affects time as well except when a void is encountered. Here time is more warpable than space is. So you can actually predict where time warp will flow if you already know the shape of the voids. Dr. Towns cut in, and how is the void reshaped? I believe Dr. Towns already know the answer. In her dissertation, she correctly predicted the causes that lead to the idea of the existence of time warping. Actually they are more of bumps and waves, say in what you call the Keynes major void that may give rise to the shape in an area. So you have worked with these 2, I assume, since you know them and we see you are not from around here. Friedman said. That is correct, Dr. Friedman. But no, I have not worked with the 2 friends. Ellie cut in, I believe we have to go to another meeting. Come on, Olive, General Man. I'll go with you, Vic said and stood. That was close. Olive, try not to look too smart, Ellie said. Those are unproven theories, although I must admit the first time I heard about them and it makes good sense, Vicky said. Those were proven through thousands of years of data from various points in intergalactic space. Stop that, Olive. Let's talk about you, Vicky. What do you do here? Andrew asked. Well, I study galaxies and try to postulate how they move and where, Vicky said. It's a complicated subject, but I can tell you all you need to know. I'm sure you can, Vicky said. Why don't we have some coffee at that place? Andrew suggested. They headed for the cafeteria and had coffee. They sat near the window with Andrew's back to the door. After a few minutes, as they were talking, Dr. Davis and Dr. Town saw them. You are the first person to seemingly understand the concept, Dr. Davis said as she looked at Olive. Gina, Gabby, this is Ellie, Olive and my old friend General Andrew Mann, Vicky said. How did you know time was in bumps and waves? Gina asked and did not even say hello. Ellie butted in, she doesn't, it was conjecture. No, I don't think so. She cut herself to correct her statement. It must be how she understands it. And why did you say the Big Bang is of no consequence? Gina asked. It's a wrong theory, Olive said nonchalantly. Maybe you girls can join us for a while and may I offer you girls some coffee? Ellie offered. They accepted and went to get their coffee from the counter. Then the two girls sat down with the group. What is your area of interest, Dr. Davis? Ellie asked. Call me Gina, you look familiar, Ellie. Did you study here? And Olive looks familiar, also like a movie star. You look so smart, Olive. Miss Smart directed me to go left into a one-way street with a pair of cops behind us. I worked here for a few months. How about you, Dr. Towns? No, call me Gabby. Well, my interest is in time and space distortions. Gina's is interstellar movements under Dr. Pines. Vicky, I have to go. Can I visit you tonight at your house, say 7 p.m.? Do you know where I live? We have a GPS. Olive stopped and looked at Andrew. No, we don't. Here's my address. See you at 7. Olive and Andrew left the group. Dr. Davis asked, he's Olive's boyfriend? No, you can say her boss, Ellie said. And do you work with Andrew, Ellie? He's my boss also, and he's Dad's best friend, you know how they are. Is he a good boss? Very good. He is probably the most compassionate man on earth. His sense of equality and fairness is very high. And such a clown. He says the funniest things at the oddest moments. That's Andrew. So what do you do, Ellie? Gina asked. Well, I'm a science officer for the Air Force and I am looking for special talents. Get these two out of here. They don't belong here. They're too crazy for our taste. In fact, I have openings for just your areas of interests. She looked at the two girls. How much does it pay? Gina asked. Not a lot, but you will be happy, live long and prosper. Like Star Trek. My dad was a Trekkie, as was my grandfather. Gina exclaimed. Yes, like Star Trek. Girls, if I were you, you've been here for 4 years, you need a new environment to grow. Go ahead, Ellie, I am ordering them to go with you. Can I meet you girls tonight at 7 at the burger joint beside the freeway intersection? They will be there, I will guarantee it. Ellie left the group and headed for her car. Later that night at the burger joint, the two girls got out of Gina's car and saw Ellie and Olive waiting at the tables outside. When Ellie saw them, she waved them over, then waved them into the ladies' room with Olive. The girls got inside the ladies' room and Ellie stood by the door and locked it. Olive, go and get me in a few seconds. Gina and Gabby found themselves in the USSP Baker and Ellie appeared beside them in a few seconds. What just happened? Gina asked. Your bodies were cloaked, wrapped in a time bubble, and the time bubble was wrapped in another inside a third time stream, then beamed to this TP. Olive said. Welcome to the U.S. Spaceport, Baker girls. Ellie said. She leads them into the glass hall. I have to go to Andrew. I am worried he's feeling abnormally different. She disappeared. Olive is not really a person but the advanced intelligence hologram of the spaceship USS Andrew Mann. Ellie explained. We were talking to a spaceship? No wonder she's so smart. Gabby said. And very pretty. Wow, we're in space. How come I am not able to see this spaceport? Gina asked. It's cloaked, you know, invisible, like our 8 ships in Earth orbit. Can we go to one of these ships? Gabby asked. This is Baina, she will tour you around and explain to you anything you need to know. Right now I need to go someplace. First you must sign a piece of paper. Baina said. Andrew starts walking towards the front door. Flowers in hand. Suddenly Olive appeared. What are you doing here? You may need my assistance. If I need you, I'll call you, right now I need to be alone with Vicky. Okay, Andrew, make sure you recruit her. Olive appeared before Ellie as Ellie was walking towards the TP. He doesn't want me around in Vicky's house. This is one thing he has to do on his own. I believe due to our recruiting failures this morning, he thinks I am bad luck. Andrew has not recruited anybody. Nonsense. Where is he now? Now inside Vicky's house. Come, let's go to this place. There's this guy who's such a loner. Here's the address. They found themselves in the garage of an apartment complex. Good thing you beamed us in this corner of the parking lot. Andrew told me to make sure nobody sees when we beam in or out. Usually parking lots are dark and empty. They climbed some stairs to the 4th floor and knocked at room 440 at the end of the hallway. There's one guy sitting in front of several screens. His computer system is connecting into several corporate and government databases. He's stealing some information from a satellite company. The place is dirty. Ellie knocked harder and almost breaking the door. He's coming, Ellie. Olive said. Sebastian Sassoki, I presume? Who the hell are you? Ellie pushed him inside, pulled out her plasma pistol and fired several shots at the computer system at the far end of the apartment, destroying the whole setup. I'm from the Air Force and I come here to offer you a job. Olive to the spaceport. I don't care about any foo. He finds himself in the TP room of the spaceport. King job. Ellie, holding her plasma pistol, pointed it to Sebastian. Move over there. Sebastian finds himself in the glass hallway. Where are we? Sign this piece of paper or I will shoot you and beam your body in space. Sebastian signed quickly. Okay, you got me. From now on you work for me, okay? What work will I do? Anything and whatever. Sit down. Sebastian sat on the sofas in the hall. I am not sure how you know how to handle people. I look at their profile and determine what is the best course of action. That's what the kids at the wharf were telling Andrew. What kids? Olive proceeded to tell the story about Ricky and Christy until she called them. Then she related their day from the time they went to the Air Force Academy. That is so funny. I'll tell the guys. Ellie, I believe the kids will pull through. We must just convince them that we mean no harm to the old people. I understand. Where are the 2 girls? They're in Tony's ship, in the engine room. Have 2 security personnel show Sebastian around. I want to talk to the kids. When the security team arrived, they left the hall and Olive beamed themselves in front of Ricky and Christy's apartment in San Francisco. Ellie knocked on the door. Christy shouted, Rick, it's the woman from the wharf with another woman. Come in, please. Hello, I'm Ellie and I work for the guy who paid you $7,000 each. We know how much he paid us, you know. Sit down. Ricky walking in, what we wanted to be sure about is that the old-timers must not be harmed or put in harm's way. Christy added, you know I worked for 6 years in a hospice home and in that time 38 old people have died in my care. Only 3 died with relatives in the room, the rest died with me alone. So I have a very careful attitude towards people who may want to hurt old people, and so does Rick. I am here to make sure that you do. We want to offer jobs to old people. What kind of jobs? Ricky asked. Anything they can handle. Like what? Christy followed through. Practically anything really, you know, things they are good at. Whatever work, like cleaning some areas, putting things together, talking to other old people, there really is a lot. Show us. Christy said. I can show you tomorrow. I guess you need to retire now. Don't you have like a movie presentation or something on a computer? Christy asked. That's your job. Ellie countered. We will be available the next day after. Tomorrow we have an appointment with some recruits we were talking to. You have our number and email? Ricky asked. Olive answered, yes, I have it. Good, call us tomorrow. Christy said.